What we actually convened to talk about here was Joel Embiid coming back, but unfortunately I got diverted last night for the Wemby experience. But Embiid comes back after a 2-month layoff. I don't know if you guys saw this, but on Twitter, they had Joel hold up an "I'm back" sign.
I did see this.
And then also a basketball, which circles me back to the point I made before. Like, we need to just stop holding up pieces of paper.
Well, he doesn't help matters because he looks like he's in a hostage video.
Yes.
So it was not Joel's idea. I think we can confidently say that.
I'm not sure.
You don't think?
Seems like he might be in on the bit here.
I mean, you got to be in on the bit.
I really hope
but
so because, and spoiler alert, I'm about to do a media complaint, but like the things that team employees cannot convince these dudes to do in terms of media, that you could talk Joel into this, like for social media purposes, just like, yo, hold this joke gag paper and a basketball and look dour is just like, wow.
But we
I'm
have
old,
that.
y'all.
Yeah. We'll look back 10 years from now when this is just in sepia, and we'll just think about the day that Joel held up this piece of paper for some reason. And a basketball. The basketball, I think, is actually the funnier part of
the fact that you think the internet's going to exist in 10 years is real cute.
I know.
All this stuff is going to be gone.
It's true. But Embiid is back. They win against the SGA list, J-Dub list, Thunder, 24 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals. Woz, what did you think about first game back?
I thought Joel just looked tired. He just looked fatigued. He looked like a guy who has missed a bunch of games and is on his first game back. And, the Thunder play at a pretty breakneck pace. Like, it's a young team. It's an athletic team. They like to get up and down. They like to shoot early in the shot clock. This is like, not the ideal matchup for a center Joel's size on his first game back. But that was the only real takeaway I had. It's like, he was given decent contests when guys got to the rim. Like, he wasn't scared of his own body. And if some of the reporting out there is like him and his team did not rush this thing back. Like, he came back because he's feeling ready to give it a real go of things. And so, yeah, I thought he looked good, just tired, just a little fatigued, winded.
Yeah.
Which, has never been Joel's strong suit.
But also incredibly understandable under the circumstances.
for sure.
He looked like a guy who hadn't played in 2 months. He also looked like a guy who hadn't read a double team in 2 months.
Yeah.
And so there's definitely some acclimation just getting back into the rhythms of playing NBA basketball. But he also looked like a player who could roll out of bed and be the most dominant scorer on the court. Like, you give that guy the ball at the top of the circle, and there's still nothing that a team like the Thunder can really do, to the point that they're running 2 and 3 defenders at him, even in this state. So he can still score, he can still draw fouls, he can still be dominant, just not quite up to NBA conditioning yet. And you could see even the timing too. Like, there was a play where Josh Giddey drove in and lobbed up a floater, and Joel was like a full second late trying to block it, trying to rotate and block it.
Lagging.
Just caught in a little glitch there.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen while he's getting back up to speed, but we know how dominant he can be on both ends of the floor.
Well, I will say, if he gets the whistle he got last night, he could do some damage.
He tends to.
He does. So he instantly got that MVP star whistle from the officials last night. The biggest one is just the last play of the game. And I know that's causing a lot of consternation, but I will say the play before that, he did strip Giddey on the perimeter.
Just
like
absolutely.
It was nothing.
Yeah, that was embarrassing.
Yeah.
So in my mind, that matters more than what happened on the other end.
Yes. He had plays like that. I think the things that jump out in terms of concerns are all short term. It's all, he's not quite getting back in transition because he's still catching his breath. Like, it was really like if he was playing 3 or 4 minutes at a time, you could see his energy level start to decline. But once he's back, he's going to be a really effective player. I didn't see any signs that he wasn't willing to jump off of that leg.
Right.
Which that's what you're really worried about, and that we had no real moments like that. I don't see any reason for actual concern here.
Yeah, there was a time he went up for like a really good contest, and when he felt like the guy's body was like near his landing area, and he did it confidently, and he was fine, and he went to go, and I was like, look, he's ready to go. It's just, again, like if you didn't watch this game last night, he was literally huffing and puffing. Like, you could see him inhaling and exhaling. So, and it was quite dramatic. And so that's the only thing. And he's got like 2 weeks to ramp up. And I think they'll do a good job for that.
There is something to what you said, Waz, about if you are a big coming back and you're coming into a matchup like the Thunder, this is not the ideal time. Like a bunch of smaller guys flying around the court, swatting away up like rebounds, hustling as hard as the Thunder hustle.
Spreading you out.
It's a tough thing to do as a big. I think if you are Joel Embiid, the ideal situation is you come back against a fairly traditional big.
Nurkic.
Perfect example. You come back against a Nurk, you know all the moves, you know all the steps. You don't have to move around a ton to get your shots off. The Thunder, though, are a different sort of challenge, even without Shea and J-Dub in there. And honestly, I thought the Thunder had a really good shot to at least tie this game. And I have no way to explain how Isaiah Joe, one of the best shooters in the league, just airballed a potential game-tying three.
Couple of big shots.
Then missed another one after they got it back. And then Jay Will also missed a pretty good shot that could have tied the game. So the Sixers getting out by the skin of their teeth, but they also didn't have their full complement of players.
They didn't have Maxey,
no Maxey, no D'Anthony Melton.
Right.
It was shocking seeing this. I'm like, oh, this is Kyle Lowry's first time playing with Joel Embiid. Oh, wait, this is Campaign's first time playing with Joel Embiid. Oh, wait, this is Buddy Hield's first time playing with Joel Embiid.
Even Oubre was out for a long stretch.
Yeah.
Yes, he was. I forgot about the Oubre saga. That seems like 3 seasons ago.
Oh, my God.
I will say, though, it seemed like the chemistry was already there in a lot of cases. Like Lowry, for instance,
Lowry in
it
particular,
felt like they've been playing for years. And maybe that's just because Lowry is the steady vet that is able to do that. But I also think it's helpful that everything goes through Joel Embiid. Everything is going to go through Joel Embiid. So there really isn't much of a learning curve because it's basically pass it into the big guy. He's going to kick it out to you for a shoot.
Find an empty spot. Go fill it.
Well, you say that, but if it's a young guard, there is a learning curve. Sure. And that's the benefit of Kyle Lowry. Is that's a dude who knows how to throw a post-entry pass. That's a dude who, when Joel kicks out of the post to him, he's going to swing it. He's going to make a smart play out of it. I did like their chemistry. I thought that boded really well for those combination second quarter, Joel and the bench type lineups that the Sixers are going to have to roll out at some points. He and Lowry can work well together.
Yeah. He and Hield, I think it's probably going to take a little bit of time, but that could be dynamic.
Sure.
I mean, we saw what Hield did for Halliburton, what's happening to Halliburton without Hield. So
Hield was doing a little bit too much dribbling for my liking in this game.
He's been doing that as a Sixer. I got to be honest with you. It's been a thing.
Guys, what is happening? But yeah, I think he's going to be a great addition. Again, if they can figure out what their go-tos are, the counters more specifically when it gets to the playoffs, and just health generally. Yeah.
So there's really 2 questions here long-term for the Sixers, or just through the stretch of this season. So it's whether or not they can get to the 6th seed. Right now they're in 8th. And whether or not they could actually make a difference in the playoffs. So currently, Zach Cram's Odd Machine on TheRinger.com, go check that out, has them projected to stay in 8th. But they are 2 games back of Indy, game and a half of the Heat. So where do we think they're going to end up? I think they have, 6 games to play? So do you think that they can make a jump here, or are you expecting them to just stay in that sort of range?
They're going to be an 8. I think it's overwhelmingly likely, given their schedule, given the schedule of the Heat and the Pacers. This is where they're going to be. And it's a really interesting place when we think about the teams at the top of the East. If you're the Celtics, for example, I don't think you were counting on a Joel Embiid first-round matchup, even if he is kind of working his way back, even if, Maxey or Melton, or we'll see kind of what the overall state of the Sixers is at that point. That's a lot to handle relative to who you might have expected to be in the 8th seed in the East.
Yeah.
Yeah, I the Pacers have been so up and down of recent, but the bad teams in the NBA are so freaking bad. It's hard to bet against them just getting through this stretch and being completely fine. So, yeah, I tend to think they're going to stay in that spot. But, I feel like they have a great shot of getting out of the play-in, even if they lose that first game. Bottom of the East is...
If we're doing winners and losers of Joel Embiid's return...
Are we?
No, but I'm going to pretend that we are.
Okay.
The Celtics, number 1 with the bullet.
As far as losers?
Losers.
You think so?
Because they just had a historic season.
Yeah.
Absolutely decimated everyone.
That's fair.
78.7 win percentage. They are cruising in the East right now. They're 12 games up on the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Bucks aren't bad.
So would they rather face the Heat or the Sixers?
That's my question. I think for one, they're going to have to play one of them most likely, unless the Bulls or the Hawks pull off a miracle.
I'd rather play the Sixers, to be honest, because Joel's hurt, because he's coming back from an injury, because he's got a bunch of new teammates that he has to work in, because they weren't this world-beating team anyway. Even when he was healthy, he was playing at a insane level, over a point per minute, on his way to his second MVP. But I don't think you see this Sixer team and oh my God, I can't do this against them. I don't know. I think they'd much rather play them than the Heat.
Well, the answer is door number 3, which is right now the Pacers are in 6. if the Heat catch them and the Pacers slide into the play-in,
Yeah,
I think the Pacers are good, but
no, that's the perfect matchup.
they're not hard to play against in the way that the Heat are or that Joel Embiid is. Like it's a softer matchup.
That front line is mincemeat.
Yeah, the same Vegas, unfortunately, for the Pacers. But how would you answer the question of Heat or Sixers for the Celtics?
I think I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I think the Celtics, look, the Heat matching up with Embiid is tough and is a challenge and would be a very unique like scouting opportunity and strategy opportunity for the Celtics. But you look at the rest of that team and what they've been able to do or not do in Joel's absence. Plus, you look at a player like Maxey, who is explosive, but I think can be contained by really elite teams. You can push Maxey's playmaking in a way that overstretches him and puts Embiid on an island. It forces him to do a lot at a time where he's already coming back from injury. I don't think anybody wants to play the Heat. Whatever you may think of Miami's season, I'm not walking into that trap again. We know exactly who those guys are, and we know that it doesn't even matter which players they have in or out of the lineup at a given time. Like, they are going to be competitive, and they're going to challenge you on the grounds of what you do best. And I don't think the Celtics want that noise.